This is Isabel Falwell. This is my video about the asexual community. If you're watching this video, you may have like a kid or a granddaughter or a child of a family member who's come out recently. At least that's the intended target, is just like people that have very little experience with the asexual community and are just trying to educate themselves a little more on the topic. Yeah, and this is my presentation on that by me, Isabel Falwell. I think an important place to start off is the definition of sexuality, which is a person's identity in relation to the gender or genders which they are attracted, or their sexual orientation. Some examples that people would be familiar with generally would be gay, like a man loving a man; lesbian, a woman loving a woman; bisexual, person of either gender liking both genders; and then of course there's asexual, which asexuals are slightly different in the sense that they don't have a particular gender which they are attracted to. Their orientation is determined by their lack of sexual feelings. A massive part of that is attraction, and there are multiple types of attraction. Some examples are sexual attraction, where somebody may look at somebody else and feel like physically want to be with them and sleep with them, or like do sexually intimate acts with them. Romantic attraction, similar in nature, where you look at somebody or feel attracted to them in a way where you want to kiss, date, hold hands, those types of romantic gestures. And then there's aesthetic attraction, where you may look at something and find it aesthetically pleasing, like you just see a beautiful man or woman. You're like, wow, they're very beautiful, but you don't necessarily want to date or sleep with them. Yeah, and a massive part of asexuality is this lack of sexual attraction here. And why is it called the ace community? It's called the community instead of just being asexual because it's an umbrella term for multiple sexualities, and the sexualities within are a spectrum. There's asexuals, which never feel sexual attraction, and this is their flag. There's gray sexuals who rarely feel sexual attraction. This is their flag. And then demisexuals. They have their own little scale of attraction within them, but if there's a strong emotional bond, they can feel sexual attraction. It can still be on the low end to the high end, but they generally can have a normal level if they have a strong emotional bond with somebody. And the colors actually have symbolism here. Black represents asexuality, gray represents gray sexuality, white just represents sexuality, and the purple represents community. And all of these are represented in all the flags because, once again, it's an umbrella term for all of these sexualities. Ace people can exist in relationships, um, while a lot of ace people are also aromantic, which means they also do not feel that romantic attraction that I mentioned earlier. Um, and that is elaborated upon. Oh, sorry, that is elaborated upon by the study NIMBY et al., where it says in particular, the asexual group was more likely to report an aromantic orientation and to be single, which also just means that they don't feel that romantic attraction. Like they also don't feel the sexual attraction, but many others also still feel romantic or aesthetic attraction. There are multiple types of relationships ace people can be in. Ace people could be in relationships with other ace people. That would make the issue of sex in relationships a non-issue. They wouldn't have to worry about it. Ace people can be in a relationship with somebody who is non-monogamous, so somebody who is seeing other people for their sexual needs, as long as like that's an established thing, that's not unheard of. Ace people also can have sex with their partners, which brings us to asexualities and sex. There, once again, it's another area where it's a spectrum, but a lot of asexuals have different feelings towards sex. There are sex negative asexual people who actively are repulsed and find sex disgusting or uncomfortable or unpleasant. There's sex neutral people. They don't really have strong feelings towards sex and could take it or leave it as a concept. And then there's sex positive. They tend to view sex positively, and obviously, this is the most likely to be of the group to be in a sexual relationship. This still, they still do not actively feel sexual attraction. This is just how they feel about the act of sex. Very different things, or sexual conduct. Why does this matter? Why does the concept of the ace community matter? Well, lots of LGBTQIA plus community members have faced discrimination. That includes asexuals. That's what the A actually stands for. Asexuals. Some people think it means ally. No, it's asexuals. And they face discrimination. A lot of people are the main way that they face discrimination is cultural erasure. A lot of people do not believe in asexuality as a as a sexuality. They're like, that's not real. Even with there's honestly even discrimination within the community because they feel like they don't have it as bad because they don't actively have to act different. But um it's they still can face discrimination, especially like at doctors' offices where sexual sexual topics come up. They can be discriminated against, as in treated differently, because it's pathologized and they think that it's a symptom of a bigger thing. And in generally, in the cases of asexuality where it's a sexual orientation, it is not. A massive a massive um a massive other reason it matters is that knowing there are others like you. In American society, at least, we live in a very sex centered culture. Um, like in our media, it's all talking about like the desire to be with people. We have the pressures from family members or other like political groups saying like, hey, we should value like having children, the nuclear family, and that's obviously something that a lot of asexuals aren't interested in. So they can be a little ostracized, and knowing other people exist like them and they're not just different can make them feel connected to other people and less alone. And that's where having a sense of community comes in, where they just have a bunch of people that can relate to them based off their identity and shared experiences based off of that. And that's why identifying this way matters so much. And then there's just other facts that I think might be interesting to know is that asexuals can still partake in self pleasing activities. NIMBY et al. Once again states that there's no significant difference on masturbation or porn consumption among the groups. Um, and then also within the society, um, within the United States, asexuality has a prevalence between zero point 0.4 and 4% by Schneckenberger. It's also very distinct from disorders from sexual arousal and desire, which is another area where the doctors sometimes get it wrong by accidentally being discriminatory. And also, it's uh, asexuals are more likely to suffer anxiety, depression, or other mood disorders. Um, yeah. And thank you so much for listening. I hope you learned something. Yeah, have a great day.